Namaste, everyone, and welcome back to the third episode of this segment, Empower Hour. I'm really glad to see that there are so many of you who are watching this segment so closely and you're really listening to the speakers very keenly. It is really great to see that. And trust me, your enthusiasm and encouragement has kept me going so far when it comes to this segment. So thank you so much. Now, if you look at the last two episodes, we had two lovely ladies who came in to share their experiences on this segment. And both of them are married and have crossed a certain age. But in today's episode, we have a very young and charming lady who is in her early 20s, single. She works as a research scholar and works in a science lab. And her twin flame is her teacher, who is way older than her. It is going to be very interesting to understand and see that how she has navigated through this journey and this experience, and how she has worked on herself through this journey so far. So let's welcome the bold and the beautiful Tapsi.
Thank you so much to you, because if you hadn't invited me, I won't be able to get to know from you these informations, because these things, these dreams didn't mean so much. I was always finding answers, but I couldn't really get to know about what that really meant. And also the fear that I would one day expose myself with this idea of twin flame that I'm experiencing this journey. And you had invited me, and I felt like from within, yes, I want to expose myself. Yes, I want to talk about it on YouTube. Let people say it. Let even my twin flame say it. What if he blocks me? I don't really care. Even I told my mother that I am going to talk to Pranna ma'am, and I'm going to be exposed in YouTube. And my mother told me, okay, it's fine, you can talk. And I told her, what
Oh.
if my twin says it? He would block me. And she said, does that matter? He is with you. You can feel him. And the fact that even if he blocks, he is already married. Why do you care? Even if he blocks, he probably will be back someday. He is that kind of a nice guy. He would probably not mind. So you just do yourself. Don't you worry about his reactions. Whatever he does, do you. Just do. So her support literally made me come here and talk to you.
Awesome. This is an inspiration to so many people like you who are afraid of sharing their feelings with their parents. I mean, including me. I haven't shared this with my mom yet. Tell me a story in a brief. How did it all start? How old you were?
I met my twin flame when I was 17 years old, and he was my private tutor. Not really in my college, he was my private tutor. And I was one of the dozen of students in one batch. When I met him the first day, the first thing that I felt that day was that his voice was really comforting to me. Something about his voice really soothed me, and I felt very comfortable with the teacher. Then, after 3 to 4 meetings in 2 weeks, I started seeing these dreams, 2 to 3 dreams probably. And there was this dream where I was sleeping in his place. I saw myself sleeping in his place. And I heard his voice that he was calling me by my name, like Tapsi, wake up, Tapsi, wake up. And I opened my eyes, and he was in front of me. And at first, I saw him that he was like literally coming closer. And I initially I felt like he was coming to kiss me literally. He was so close. But later I realized that he was not doing anything like that, but he was literally with very much concentration looking into my eyes. Like he found something literally in my eyes. And that time the dream broke. And I was left with so much questions, like why would I see such a dream? I know him like literally for 2 and 3 weeks. Why would I see such a dream? Then another dream, it was really bizarre for me because I saw him being very much close to me in my dream. And I kind of felt some touches. These were innocent touches, very innocent touches, but I felt some touches which felt very real. I almost felt those touches in my dream, and I don't know why I saw these dreams. And these were literally the first two dreams I saw, and these kind of made me, fall slowly with this person. I don't. In literally 1.5 months, I was literally crazy with this person. I fell in love with this person, though I would assume at that time that I was just having a crush, because before that I never really believed that I would be able to fall in love with someone. I never really believed in love. Like, I had this hatred towards relationships, loving relationships, I mean romantic relationships. And I used to be, hateful towards these people who, but not people, but my friends my age, who had these relationships with boys, and I would be like, oh, she's such a, you know, I'm not like that. I had this pride, and because my mother had this pride too. Like, my daughter doesn't really go out with boys. She's different, and I had this pride. But this time, I was, for the first time, is my first love for him. So I was feeling this love for him. I was so into it, but it felt so bizarre. Like, why would I feel love for a teacher? And slowly, I started stalking him. Literally, I was a crazy stalker. I started stalking him so much. I would stalk him, I would stalk his friends, I would stalk his friends of friends, just to see if there is any photo of him in their gallery. It is crazy. And this way I collected like 100 photos of him in my phone.
My God. Okay.
And I got his email ID, right? And the common template people use for their email ID is like their name, and after that their birth year, birth month. And from that, I got to know that he is like 14 years old. And it was like, oh, he's 14 years older than me. But okay, it was kind of like that. I was not quite disturbed about this fact. I was not weirded out by this age gap. I was like, it's fine. I'm so crazy about this person. Who cares? I literally started chasing him little by little. It was like I would text him every often. So I would send him texts, random texts, like random videos, random jokes. Sometimes he would reply, sometimes he would not. And then slowly he would not reply at all. And he would start avoiding me as well. By the way, I used to sit totally in front of him, and he wouldn't look in front, just to him. Like, he would literally look at this side or that side, but never in front of me. I thought, I'm probably thinking it too far. I'm probably exaggerating. He would not do that intentionally, but this started happening like days, after months. This was the same thing. He would not reply to my texts. He would not talk to me in the batch even. He's quite chatty, quite talkative. He has a lot of knowledge about movies, about books, about novels, about a lot of things. And he likes to talk with students. He believes that if we do a little bit of chat with students, then our mind would refresh. But he would talk to everyone except me. And this would literally make me feel devastated. Like, I would literally cry when I would come to my house. And of course, I would not tell my mother before that. It was like, no, I cannot let her know that her wise daughter, she's just going into this downhill day by day. And then slowly, I felt like things were going out of my hand, and I was chasing more in the fear that I would literally lose him. Then my birthday came that year. He didn't wish me. He wishes everyone on their timeline, but he didn't wish me. And this made me cry my whole night in my birthday, the whole night. Even the later days, I would cry thinking that I was abandoned and he acts the same with everyone, but not just with me. And this would happen, this would keep going. But again, I would do everything. If he ever says anything, if he ever gives any responsibility, I would just do that. He kind of sensed that I am getting quite a little weak for him. I do not know. I can tell if he sensed that or if he tried to take any advantage of that. And so I started coming as just to unlock the doors, and things were going fine initially. But then some girls in this batch would call me a gatekeeper, a teacher's pet, all of this mockery. I wouldn't let this, get me at all because I was doing something for the person I used to love. So I would just do that. But one day, something happened, and the friendship between me and these girls just broke apart. So I would not talk to these girls in the batch, and my twin would sense that there is something wrong between me and these girls. So he someday asked another girl in the batch, what's wrong with me and these three girls who were like literally broke the friendship between us. This girl literally freaked out. He didn't just let me know that he is inquiring about this. He also let the three girls know that he was asking what's wrong. So both of us knew. And before I could be ready to let him know that what was wrong, these three girls made a WhatsApp group, new WhatsApp group, and added my twin in that group. And they told him literally that Tapsi is in love with you. Tapsi is in love with you very much, and she is very crazy about it. They had this idea because I used to tell them I was so hyper about my love, my first love. So I would tell literally everyone except my parents. And they literally told them that she is in love. And a few months later, this girl who had let them and me know that he was inquiring about this, she let me know that these girls had sent her screenshots of their conversation between them and my twin. It's like he said, okay, she's probably infatuated. This is just an infatuation. It won't stay that such long. And he also said that he was in a relationship for 3 years. So two things hurt me literally, that he thought it was an infatuation when I was very into it, very into the deep. And another thing that broke me completely was his relationship status, that he was in a relationship. Even though I had kind of assumed that, okay, he's like 31 at that time, he has a career, he is ready to get settled down. So he probably will have someone beside him. But when I got to know that, it literally broke me. Till I was chasing, I know why. Even after knowing that he was in a relationship, I would chase him. And one day something happened. I had a little bit of fever, so I didn't unlock the doors initially at the right time. So they had to wait outside the door. I don't know how long they waited. When I got there, my twin was there. The door was unlocked. All the girls were there. And when I entered the room, I just saw that my twin looked at me first and then literally turned his face away. Immediately turned his face away. This really broke my heart. Like, I do not know, like, I was just late for 15 minutes and you acted this way. Like, my ego was getting literally triggered. Like, I did so much things for you all these days and I chased you so much, and then you act like this to me. And he then didn't really even talk. He told me that if you get late after that, at least let me know that you are going to be late. But he didn't even look at me while he said that. And I was thinking, like, you could at least scold me. I wouldn't even mind if you scold me, but you acted as if I was completely non-existent. Like, you were so disappointed because of a 15 minutes late that I was. That literally made me triggered so much. And that was the start of my actual journey when I started running. And that day was the day when I started running from him. He got to know a little later that I was a little sick. And so at night, he sent me a text that, how are you right now? Did you go to the doctor? And I didn't reply to him. For the first time, I didn't reply to him, to his text. Well, the next day, I felt like it would be a disrespect to a teacher if I don't reply to his text. like he is asking me for my help. And so I replied to him, but with a a yes, a no, and this started happening day by day. If there was any text from him that was like, you know, not very necessary to reply, I would not reply. And he was very used to getting my reply, so he would kind of get that something is wrong. Something is wrong. That's why I'm taking myself away. And while in the tuition place, I would not even look at him. I started acting like how he used to act. I would not look at him. I would look either that way or this way. And he would try to get my attention sometimes. He would indirectly ask my friend, what's up with me? And they would not be able to answer anything. And so this started happening, and I kept waiting for the day when our tuition would end. Literally, I would graduate and get the hell out of this place, because this felt like a hell, literally a hell. But someday I would feel so devastated and so tired of running, because I didn't want to act like that in the first place. And so finally, we reached this time when the tuition was going to end. The last day I was at his place, he didn't even look at me. He didn't even talk to me. And I didn't talk to him either. I came out, and that day felt like a soul shock kind of thing. If there is a term that's called soul shock, that's what I felt, that a dark night of the soul going too deep at this time, because it felt like a part of me was just taken away by someone. I felt literally half. It was like 8 months to 1 year that I stopped talking almost 80% of the time. Almost 80% I would not talk at all. And my mother would take me to astrologers and ask them, my daughter doesn't talk at all. My daughter has stopped talking. What's wrong with her? And I would think it's such a pathetic thing to, I cannot explain to my mother what is really wrong, what is really going on with me. So I kind of decided that I need to let my mom what has happened all this thing. So I told my mother that I was in love with you. My mother had said that I had kind of sensed that you were in love with your teacher, because you talked a lot about him too. You were so hyped whenever you talked about things with me. And then I shared a lot of things with her, things that made me question about my journey, about all of these things. And she was very supportive. I never really expected that she would be this much supportive. My mother was always very strict. Since childhood, she was very strict. But this time, she was like a very stable friend, like a friend that I always needed. Uh, I didn't really have friends at that time. All my friends were gone. And also, my relationship with my father literally broke apart out of nowhere. I wouldn't know how. Like, I wouldn't even talk to my dad for months. So my mother was literally my support system at that time. 3 to 4 months after my exam, I felt like I cannot go on any longer. I have to move on from this person. I'm still stuck with this feeling of love, with this feeling of pain. I have to move on. So one day I was very stressed out. Literally, all of the things were going so bad, and I was very stressed about my journey. I came to my house, I saw my mom, and I just started literally crying. I cried so much. She hugged me, but I couldn't stop. And I remember all I felt inside that time, that I only need to talk to my twin at least one last time, because I felt very uncomfortable, and only he could comfort me at that time. And literally, in 2 to 5 minutes, there was a call in my phone. And I went to pick up the phone, and it was my twin. Like literally 3.5 months later. I picked up the phone and I let him know that I was crying, because it would be quite weird that he called me after 3.5 months and I was crying. And we talked for like 5 to 10 minutes. When I cut the call, there was no reason for me to cry. And my mom was like, "Oh, when I hug you, you can't stop crying. When you talk to him for 5 minutes, all of the pain is gone." This is when I kind of sensed the mysteriousness of our connection. Like, how did he end up connecting me at that right time when I was thinking of him? It was such a weird thing. And then I started falling for him again. Like, he just showed up at the time when I needed him the most. I started feeling this love for him way too deep. And it was like after 6 months when I again started feeling very, very scared about the future, how it would turn out. He would get married anyway. I used to have dreams that he was getting married. Someone was coming to tell me that he has got married. Or I would dream that there were WhatsApp pictures, his profile picture with him and his wife. I wouldn't see the face of the wife. So there would be like random pictures of a woman with him, and I would see like he has got married, and it literally wake up with tears in my eyes. So I was like, again, I have to move on. I have to move on anyway. So one night, when I was almost going to sleep, I decided that from the day tomorrow, I'm going to start this journey of moving on. It was like 11:45, and I was going to my bed. At that time, I got a text from my friend after 6 months, and it told me that I needed to talk to you about some important matters. I was thinking of calling you tomorrow, but can I call you right now at this moment? I was like, okay, you can call me. My plan is already, gone. How can I move on when he's calling me? And then he called me. He started talking about random stuff. Where are you going to get for your master's? This university would be good for you. That would be good for you. And he wasn't really mentioning his important stuff. So after 5 minutes of random talking, I had to remind him that you called me for some important stuff. And he was like, oh yeah, I remembered. I needed to call you because I wanted you to recommend me a good company which sells 4G routers. And I was like, what? You called me for 4G router recommendation? Later, I thought that he has such a great circle of friends, friends of friends, colleagues who are all adults. There may be significant number of people who are good with technologies, who are good with gadgets. And then he calls me to know what is a good 4G router that I would recommend him. It was such a funny thing to say. And then he also again told me, which literally gave me a shock, that my mother had once invited him to visit our house. So he is thinking of visiting our house one day. And then he cut the call, and I rushed to my mother and asked her, when did you invite him? When did you invite him, literally? And she remembered that she had invited him to our house casually 2 years ago. And he said, your mother had invited me, so I would visit you like in a week or so. And this took my sleep away from that night. I was so scared. I wanted him to come to my house, but I also didn't want to. Like, it was a mixed feeling. And after literally 1 week, I had texted him actually, uh, for I needed some ebooks for my master's. And he has a good collection of ebooks. So I had texted him that, can I go to you for some books? And he was like, okay, you can come. The day I was preparing to go to his place, just before going out of my house, he called me and told me that, Tapsi, I have forgot to bring my laptop to my place, so I'll be able to give you the ebooks. I was like, okay, it's fine. I will go to your place some other day. He was like, no, 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 I will visit your house in the evening. I was like, I was almost going to say, no, no, you don't have to. And he was like, no, 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 I will visit your house. You need it. You need those words. And he cut the call abruptly. And I was freaking out the whole day. And he came to my house that day, that evening, and he was parking his bike, taking a lot of time that he usually does. And I was waiting just beside him from a little distance, waiting so I can guide him to my house. While suddenly I looked at him and my vision just got blurry. I felt so sick. I don't know why. My brain started to go fuzzy. and I was feeling like I would lost my balance and just fall on the floor. But there was a pillar and I supported myself a little, and before he could see my poor condition, I got recovered. And when he get into the room, I saw that his face was literally red and he was a little stammering. I don't know why. He was maybe a little nervous because he came to my house for the first time. And then we had some little talks about updating his life and my life. And that's when he said that he's reconstructing his house, which here it means that he was getting ready to get married because he was making things right to his house and doing new upgrades to his life and things like that. So again, when he left the place, it triggered me that he was getting ready for his marriage, and this would probably happen very soon. So again, for months it was a torture. For months it triggered so many things in me, and eventually I was doing some inner works within me, but I didn't know the term inner work at all. I was just, doing things internally. But this particular fear of him getting married wasn't going out of my system. So around the time in 2019, in the month of March, I decided I would completely disconnect from him. So I changed my phone number, and before changing my phone number, I left the group chat we had where he was at. So if I remove myself from the group chat, he won't be able to get my new phone number, and I won't really provide him the number, so we would be completely disconnected. That day, I really, really cried a lot. It started the journey when I started sensing this signs coming to me that made me remember him. But his name would be everywhere. It would literally bombard me. Like there would be people I do not know, boys coming, standing right beside me, and somebody would call this person by his name, or he would call someone by his name. And I would always feel like, why this name is literally haunting me. Even my twin's surname would haunt me everywhere. And my twin's favorite song, my twin's birthday, this will be everywhere. I remember this event where I was in a train compartment and this beggar came in and he was asking for money for everyone, and in return he was just singing songs randomly. And when he came into my apartment, he had to sing the song that was my twin's favorite song. Whenever I would hear this song, I would not just feel this longing for him, but I would also feel this fear and these triggers, everything coming at once within me. So I literally started crying in the compartment. And so this is when I started kind of sensing that this could be a sort of a connection. Before that, in 2018, I kind of find out that there is something called twin flames. But I didn't really care about that at first, though it kind of, fascinated me that what is really this. I kind of saw everything, what was this about, but I didn't really find authentic information from YouTube. There were all these tarot readings. I didn't like any of it. But I would share that with my mother that, this something is called twin flame connection. That's the two people are very connected to each other. They are one soul in two bodies. And my mother said, oh, this is like Radha Krishna. This is like the concept of Radha Krishna. It is also existent to this day. I was like, it could be, probably it could be. I'm not really disbelieving it, but I'm also not able to, get it from the beginning. So
This
inside it was like
this was so good that you could speak these things to your mom and she was so open while listening to you. That's such a blessing.
Yeah. It is such a blessing because I didn't get anyone beside me at that time. So my mother was like my support, and she's quite spiritual. I wouldn't say like she gets everything of the twin flame connection, but she kind of believes it.
I mean, especially those who are not married and struggling internally how to share with their parents, they should definitely take an inspiration from you and be ready to face whatever comes, because every mom is not going to be like your mom. So
And this is the time when I also started to know from my friend that my twin would someday ask her indirectly that what is wrong with my phone number, why he can't really connect. And I I remember that I would cry to my mother that I didn't want to do that, but I have to move on to know that I can't stay stuck with a man this long. And she was like, but he's your teacher and he has been like a friend to you all these days. You have cared for each other for so long. I've not explained this to you before. Like, there was this thing between the two of us. Whenever he would get sick, he would talk to me. He would text me. He would let me know that I am suffering from this. I'm suffering from that. And there was this unusual long stretch of messages exchanged between the two of us. I would care for him. He would say, "Yeah, okay, I took medicines. I took this injection. I am fine. Don't worry about me." This would go on for like 1 to 2 days, and suddenly he would just again abandon. And I would feel like he only just talks to me when he needs comfort, and then when I need comfort he would just literally abandon. But it was such a sacred kind of experience when I could talk to him literally very intimately when he was sick.
So did you
So
confront him
everything was making me feel
ever?
like, did I confront him? I would say I used a lot of love languages. I
Okay.
never really told him I love you. He knows more better than I could ever say that I love you. He knows better than that. So I'm very much clear that he knows everything that I do. I don't really have to tell him that I love him. So in these days, I started this feeling of I have to let go, all these things. When I started also to search about this twin flame journey, what is this really is, it really caught my attention. And YouTube wasn't serving me well. So I started searching for it in Google, and that's when I found out Quora. And I found your answers, and there was this answer about surrender. So it really took me at that time that I have to surrender. I started understanding more about what surrender really is, how to do it, how to really let go while still holding this feeling, because I used to feel like the love I feel for him comes very naturally. I cannot force it to get it out of my system. So I was like, okay, let's just surrender, let's just let things happen. And one day I just felt like after 3 to 4 months, when I woke up in the morning, I felt like, okay, I'm feeling a lot of peace because I have accepted the fact that I will probably feel love for him for a very long amount of time, if not forever. So I was feeling very fresh, feeling very fine. When at the time I got a phone call from my friend, and when I pick up the call, she told me that sir, that is my twin flame, has decided to teach us for our PhD entrances. You are coming, right? And I was like very silent in the phone. I was like, what was really happening? She is telling me to go back to my twin right now. And she was saying that he is going to start the tuition from tomorrow. You are going, right? You are going, right? She was trying to convince me literally. And she told me that my twin can't contact me, so he has told her to contact me instead to let me know that I have to go for the tuition from tomorrow. And I just told her, yes, I will go there. I will be there. And okay, I felt like, yeah, this is something that's really happening. Something is really pushing me towards him. And the moment I accepted things, again, he came back. And so I went back to him. I had a fear that I would see a marriage ring, like a engagement ring on his hand, but there was nothing. He was still not married, and so I felt like a relief that okay, at least I don't have to face him in front of me while he's unmarried. All these things I would have to listen to him. But he would still emphasis on how he's going to get married, when he will get married. He would say some little things. And I would feel like he's telling this intentionally just to make me feel like, okay, you have to, back off. You cannot just hold on to it. And I would feel triggered a lot. all these days I would feel triggered. I would feel like I don't want to go to study. I don't want to face him, but I would still have to. And there was this day when I was almost getting ready to go out of my house to go to his place, that a woman came into our house and she started telling my mother that there is this single guy who is a doctor. He's 28 years old. Would you like to get your daughter married? And I almost feel like I would cry, literally started crying. I cannot let a guy have the place that I have given to my child. So I literally started like having these panic attacks, almost starting to cry, almost starting to get so angry that I would literally shout over this woman. My mother like gave me a sign like, okay, I'm managing it. Don't get scared. So I was so angry about the fact that I was almost going to get married. I was almost going to get settled with a guy. That when I got to his place, he feels like literally a home. He feels like someone to whom I can share everything. So I, without thinking anything, I just told him everything what happened today morning. And initially, he was smiling before me telling all of this. He was smiling and looking at me and saying, "Why did you got late? Why it took time for you to reach out to her?" And the moment I told him that I was almost going to get married, he just, he had a broad smile, and then suddenly the smile was this little. And then he just lowered his face down and took his phone, unlocked the phone, and started scrolling through his app list. There was no notification, nothing at all. He was just scrolling through his app list from left to right, right to left. And I could literally see it, and I didn't know what he was doing while I was explaining every single thing that frustrated me today.
As your
What should the
situation is understood by your mother very well, I think it would be a different scenario altogether. But as being in India, where the whole society has this conditioning that at a certain age you have to get married, and that indirect pressure starts building up, that okay, now you are in that age and you have to get married. So I want to ask you, like, what is your state of mind? Because you know that your twin flame is going to get married someday. So obviously you are not considering that option in your mind. So somewhere you know that if at all you want to get married, it has to be with somebody else, right? And even that pressure is also building up. Out your relatives, your extended family start asking questions. So how have you dealt that so far?
Initially, when this was happened, that the women were coming to, give us some suggestions about guys who are unmarried. They would like to, take me as their wife. It would literally make me feel devastated. I would cry literally in front of my parents. I would scream at them that you cannot do this to me. I would tell my mom, when you know literally that I am in love with this guy, I'm in love with my teacher, how can you get me married to someone else? And my mother would say, your teacher would get married to someone else. Why don't you understand? And I tell her that, yeah, he would get married, that's fine, but can I not stay single? Can I not stay like independent my whole life? And she said, would you be able to take care of yourself? You need my assistance, my care all the time. You need someone to take care of yourself. And I understand that I really need someone to take care of myself, but at that time I was not able to understand this fact. I used to feel like I would be able to go solo, but inside I also have a separation anxiety. Like I cannot go on if I don't have a friend, I don't have a companion. So it was like dilemma, a lot of dilemma. I cannot go on without a partner, but I do want to go on with a partner. It was a lot of issue back then, because I used to tell her a lot of things, a lot of rude things, and she would get hurt. She would also try to emotionally, pressurize me that uh, we are getting old. You are a girl, and you cannot take care of us when we would be old. And so you need a man beside you who would be able to take care of us too. And I would think, why is it so much about you guys and not me? Why? Because I am going to get married, not you two. So why are you telling me that? Slowly, when I, you know, progressed in my journey in 2020, I experienced something very divine, I would say. Me and my twin flame were not in communication at that time for like 6 to 8 months. But suddenly at that time, I felt this sort of a feeling of union with my twin, energetic union probably. There was this morning I woke up and I felt like I was with my twin. I was in union with my twin. I was in harmony with her. It was such a feeling that I felt like everywhere around me there was this light, this illumination, some sort of divine peace. You can probably understand that.
Yeah.
Definitely can understand that. I felt like there was nothing in me that regret that he is away from me physically. At least energetically, he is with me. And I also don't remember anything I did in those days. This feeling was persistent for like 3 days, but I don't remember the chores I did, the studies I did all those days. I was only, everything I was doing was in a trance. Like I was in a divine.
Yeah.
And after 3 days, my twin also contacted me. And he has a sort of way to let me know that he is feeling a lot of admiration towards me through a little gestures while he's texting. So I kind of realized that, okay, he probably subconsciously sensed that too, that there was some sort of energetic union between us. And that is the time when I started feeling like, even if I get married to someone, I won't lose him actually. I won't lose the feeling for him. I won't be able to lose the connection between he and I altogether. But then this dilemma would come between me that, okay, I would be in a marriage with someone and I would keep feeling for this person. How can this happen? Like, how can I let my husband know that I am always feeling this person? I'm always in love with this person. How can I let this person know that, okay, I do love you, but I'm not in love with you? And that is a really a problem. So with time, with my journey, I started kind of getting into energetic harmony, kind of in alignment with my twin. That we started communicating more, we started understanding each other more. There were these such things where he gained a lot of trust towards me. He would share things which were kind of confidential before. He would not share with his student at first because as a teacher he has a pride too about his career, about the things. He started sharing with me and I felt like, okay, he's kind of being comfortable with me with time. And so we started aligning and I started understanding that relationship or marriage is a different thing. My love for my twin flame is not only romantic, but also I feel that for me it's a very, very parental love that sometimes I felt like he was my dad, that would be great. Really felt that. And sometimes I felt like he was my great, my big brother. He was my friend. He was everything in one word. So I felt like, okay, even if I get into a relationship or a marriage with someone, for that person, this love would be different. And for my twin flame, this love would be different. So I kind of started coming into this harmonious understanding of between the two situations. And today, this doesn't really, bother me. The fact that if I get married, I will have some sort.
When it comes to the factor of intimacy, many people feel that, okay, even though I logically accept that I have a soulmate or a companion with whom I'm going to live my life, I can't think of being intimate with them because I'm so much feeling for my twin flame. Have you
Yes.
caused this sort of a feeling and how have you addressed that?
I am very much attracted to my twin flame. It is very normal thing for
Yeah.
every twin flame. I am extremely attracted to my twin flame, even to this day. And now the fact that my twin has already got married, it's been like 3 weeks that my twin has got married. I'm still adjusting to the fact and adjusting to the idea that I feel attracted towards a person who is married. So when I will be married, how will I really take it? So I feel like I cannot really say at this moment, but it needs a sort of understanding between someone and their partner, someone and their soulmate, to really get to the point where they would have less repulsion when it comes to intimacy. And I would like to say the fact that when someone gets married while they have a twin flame, they had the idea of having a twin flame when they were single and they got married, they kind of should, share with their soulmate that they have this connection with their twin flame, this person, little by little.
There was some girl.
And yeah,
She is also having like a similar scenario, and she's not able to get married to somebody else because she's in love with her twin flame who is already married. Now her major struggle is about loyalty, because she feels that if I'm choosing somebody as a soulmate and companion, got married, in my heart I know that I am having a twin flame, and if I don't tell this to that person, why he should be agreeing to stay with me as his companion? And if he still does, or whatever it is, ultimately my loyalties are not 100% with that guy, whoever I'm married to. So when it comes to this factor of loyalty, you know being loyal to somebody, whether with it is
yeah,
with your twin flame or with your soulmate, what
yeah.
is your take?
I think it's more about emotional loyalty if we don't really take any action, towards being with a twin flame. It's not an extramarital affair. So it's like an emotional loyalty that she's really worrying about. And so I think it's really good if she can be honest with her husband that she is in a sort of a connection and she feels a lot of love for this person. There is nothing wrong with being honest. And then she has to see that what her partner decides. Her partner has really free will to, decide anything, whether he would like to stay with her or not, or whether he would like to just support her by her side. And most of the times, as twin flames end up with a soulmate who really understand this journey. And just like my mom understands this journey because she is a part of my soul group, I feel like a soulmate would also understand that, even though they wouldn't really understand that consciously, subconsciously or in their soul, they have
I
this
agree.
understanding that, okay, my
Yeah,
partner is experiencing this journey.
right.
So if this is not a karmic situation, like hugely karmic where there is not such a support, then I don't think there would be a problem if you end up with a soulmate. They would probably understand that.
Yeah, even I
And
agree with this, because especially with your generation who is awakening at this age, like in my generation, I was going through the journey, but I was not awakened. I had no clue about what is happening, what is this whole thing all about. I was awakened in 2011, like almost like 20 years after I met my twin flame. So it was a completely different scenario. And by that time I was already married, I had already had my life going on when I realized all these things. In your generation, anybody your age who has been awakening at a certain age and going through this, it's a different scenario altogether. So somehow I'm also having this feeling that most of you who are not married but awakened would probably end up with somebody who is your soulmate and not a karmic partner. That is what the feeling I get, a general feeling. Very rare cases
I
will
too,
be like
yeah,
that, where you really have like a lot of karmic depth with somebody,
yeah,
and that's why you ended up with that person. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I believe that too because this journey is a lot of hard work to do, and we go
Yes,
through a lot of inner turmoil, and so we need a support group. Just like
absolutely.
I got my mom. And then when I got into the university, I came across a roommate when I got into the apartment, and I realized that she was experiencing twin. Like, this is the first time I came across someone in the physical world who
Yeah.
was experiencing this journey. She is still the only one I have come across. So she was also a support group because she can totally understand that.
So as you said that your twin flame just got married 3 weeks back. So how was it for you when you got to know about his marriage?
I mean, my journey has been like for 6 years, almost 7 years. I was literally preparing to come across this news someday. I was preparing for it for almost 6 years. So I feel like I have worked on myself a lot all these years. Even though I feel like one day when I will come across this news, I would be devastated. I would be crying on the floor. I would be able to manage myself. But really, when I came across this news, for that moment at least, I felt okay. Now, there is this also very astonishing thing that happened to me just before 2 to 3 days ago, before knowing that he got married. I kind of sensed that he got married. Sense it was just a sense, just a knowing, sudden knowing that he got married. So I literally felt like I had to call him. I had to know if it's really true. I'm getting this feeling. And I was contemplating that whether I should call him or not. And suddenly in my Instagram, there was a post that came in. And in the post, there was written, trust the source, trust your decision. And I took that as a sign. I called him and I didn't know that why I should call him. He's a teacher. I need to have a proper excuse. So I felt like, okay, I would just ask for an ebook, and I would call him to give me some ebooks. And I called him and I asked that, how are you? And he said, okay, I'm good, and I have a news that I have got married. And he shared it with me in a very friendly way. Like, he wasn't really harsh on me with saying it. He was very friendly. He was sharing it like he was sharing with a friend, a well-wisher. It felt like he knew that I am a well-wisher. I won't be angry, or I won't hold any resentment towards him if he shares that with me. I felt this sort of respect towards him, or sort of love towards him, that he really trusted me with sharing this information. So for that day, I was very fine. I was okay with that. When he told me, I felt a sort of heat going through my neck, and that sort of a feeling you get. But at that day, I was fine. I have seen a lot of dreams just 1 month before my twin got married. I don't know why. All these dreams were very harmonious. He has wished me on my birthday in my dream. He has offered me a bike ride in my dream. He has gone to a restaurant to have dinner with me in my dream. Like, all of these harmonious things, which I've always wished to experience with him in real life, all of this happened in my dream just before he got married. And when he got married, I kind of had this sarcastic thought in my mind that before he got married, he fulfilled all my dreams in my dream, all my wishes in my dream. And I talked to my roommate, who is also experiencing this journey, and we had a very deep spiritual talk. And she doesn't know about twin flames that much. I had once shared it with her, but she didn't give much importance to it. And I felt like it was not the time for her to awaken. She was probably not getting the spiritual side of it. But this time, she talked about it so much spiritually. She literally told me that he is within you. You don't have to be worried about the fact that he is married to someone. And this time I realized that someone can really awaken without getting to know about twin flame connection. It was
Absolutely.
amazing. Yeah. I couldn't even sleep the whole night thinking about how she got awakened without knowing anything, how he trusted me with all of these things. I was very, energetic inside. I don't know why I couldn't sleep the whole night. Even the next day, I wasn't tired at all. And I was in the laboratory, and suddenly I felt like some pent up emotions within me were coming up. Like, I literally felt like I was going to break down. So I had to take an excuse and go to the washroom and literally purge the feelings out. And that time I only got the feeling that I'm not sad because of the fact that he has got married, but it's because there are still some pent up emotions that I have not expressed till yet. I have not let go. And this is probably the reason why I have told myself all this day, I should be happy because of his happiness. I didn't accept the fact that, okay, I would feel a loss, and okay, I would be sad even if he is happy. And I told myself that if I am sad, I am probably not happy for him, and that would be really bad. I told myself all these things, and that kind of suppressed all these emotions within me. So I kind of feel like, okay, I have to really accept the fact that my ego kind of feels a loss. And that's why these emotions are coming up, and I should really let it go. I should really, if I feel like crying, I should cry. If I feel like expressing this to somebody else, I should express that to somebody else. I also started feeling like there is this emotional protection, this energetical protection around me suddenly from somewhere. I felt like some energies were protecting me, supporting me with so much love. My colleagues were suddenly so funny around me and so talkative with me. Like everything was supporting me emotionally.
As you said that when you got to know that he's 14 years older to me, you were
Yeah.
completely okay with it. Like it didn't really matter to you what sort of age gap is there between you two. Did you ever consider seriously going to him and asking him for a serious proposal that, okay, I feel for you? Or have you always been into this consideration that no, no, he is too old and maybe he's my teacher, so I can't ask him?
I think what really stopped me is not really the age difference, but the professional relationship between me and him. I was so afraid to go to him and tell that I am in love with you just because he was my teacher, not really because there is this age difference. I mean, yeah, if there is this age difference, if I go to him, he will probably reject me and things like that. But he is a teacher. If I go to him, he will probably like literally judge me for many things, or he would complain to my mom, and there will be rumors. There were already rumors everywhere. I was humiliated in the whole society because of my emotions everywhere coming out. And that's why I didn't really take any step. I started acting like, okay, just let himself know through my love languages, not really, I want to be with you, or I love you, I want to marry you, or things like that. I never really told. I felt like the love languages are enough, even though I kind of feel like I have been a coward all these days. But I tried expressing myself as much as I could, even if there was you know, there's this professional relationship. I tried expressing as much as I could.
Okay. There are so many people who are in this sort of a situation where they are younger, they have still, just maybe out of universities or still in universities or freshers, and they have gone quite a far way in their spiritual
Yeah,
ascension.
yeah. I do get a lot of people, or a lot of young people generally, who come to me and talk about that. They don't have any idea that I am like 24 at this year. They just come to me thinking I am probably 40 or 44 years old. And they, when I tell them that I am same as your age, and they're like, "What? You talk like a middle-aged woman." And they come to me with a lot of issues, and which are also quite about the marriage, the relationship. They cannot get into a relationship while their friends are having so much fun. They are stuck with this inner work, these triggers, all of this thing, this heartbreak. They also sometimes tell me that they are losing their youth through all of the inner work they do.
Yeah.
They have lost friends, they have lost social life and things like that. And I think it's completely fine, that because we all we chose that the path we choose, it's our soul's decision. We have experienced a lot of happiness in our past lives probably, and this time we chose to experience this path, and just trust the process. I mean, whatever it is, whatever dynamic you have experienced with your twin, he may be younger than you or older than you, or you have professional relationship with them, or he's married. But just trust the process. You are in this situation because this situation particularly triggers some issues within you which otherwise wouldn't be triggered. This is for your benefit. So
Right.
just in everything that happens in our journey, even though it's sad, it's revolutionary. It leads to something that we are about to gain. I
Yeah.
mean, from the start of the journey, we are literally devastated because we are not
Yeah.
reciprocated when we fall into love with this person. And this triggers a lot of wounds. Like in my case, I had a mild eating disorder, and I've always been overweight in my whole life. And I've always had this less nutrition, more junk food, and sort of that. And this is for the first time in my life that I have started cutting down meat, cutting down junk food to a great extent. Like I don't
Wow.
feel like even eating any meat. Like I can go months without eating meat,
Okay.
and I can go months without any junk food. And I'm exercising daily, and I feel very energetic. I feel like I want to work all the time. It makes me feel balanced. So my twins' presence in my life has impacted me in a lot of ways. The more I would say, the more there will be left. So
Now he has got married, so obviously that, even though there was any sort of a window open there of you two conventionally getting together, is not right now there. So how do you see yourself going, in which direction, in terms of your life as well as your spiritual journey?
I have not talked about the traumas that were triggered in me during this whole spiritual journey. And now that he's married and he's focusing in my life, I am focusing in my traumas and my healing journey and things like that. So when I was a child, like I was 5 years old, I was sexually abused by someone from my near family member. And since then, for like literally 6 years, I have been sexually abused by many people, many different people, known people, unknown people, my dad's colleagues. And this made me feel like when someone is a sexually abused person, the first thing they feel that their power has been taken away from them. It's a psychological thing. You feel like your power has been taken away from you. And so I started kind of developing this passive aggressive emotional manipulation towards others, where I wanted to take my power over them. And so I feel like this dynamic between me and my twin flame, that he was my teacher, I was his student, kind of acted in the very perfect way where I felt like his power was on me. So I felt like, okay, this is very triggersome. I feel that sort of a fear that someone has their power on me. Someone is literally making me do things, making me feel things when I don't want to. Whenever I'm trying to get away from it, he's again pulling me back. And so this power struggle was there still. And now that I realize from this journey that the true power of us is self mastery, like putting the power on us, not really upon others. When you really put your power on yourself, and whenever your wounds get triggered, you feel like instinctively act in a certain way, react in a certain way. But when you do self mastery thing, when you put your power on yourself, you can take some moment, you can raise your awareness, you can understand that the way I'm going to interact, I'm going to react is probably not right. I should respond in a better way. And that's when you can, become really powerful. And it's really the power you have that is not used to manipulate others. It is not taking over others. It is your power. It is just yours. And no one can also take advantage of you that way. This is something, one of my core lessons as well. And something I'm going to feel at this moment, I'm going to experience throughout this journey is that the feeling of paranoia, the feeling of the fear of getting murdered. It has been with me since childhood. I don't know why. There was nothing that happened around me that made me feel like I was going to get murdered. I was sexually abused, but not like in a murderous situation. So I would like to say that I now understand why this fear is there. I had some dreams, like 4 dreams. These 4 dreams, I believe, is past life glimpses with me and my twin flame, where I felt like, he was a person I saw in a different figure, in a different physical shape and form, but I felt like it was him. Definitely felt like it was him. I was in a different shape or form. And in the 4 dreams, I saw that we had a sort of sexual union. And immediately after that, we were murdered and killed. Either he got murdered or I got murdered. Most of the time, I got murdered. And I think this fear has been taken from the past lives. I mean, I've carried forward those fear from the past lives. So I'm working on that currently. My guides tell me that I have to really develop this blindfolded trust on their protection. They are trying to convince me that you are protected. This time it will be different because you have come with a purpose. This would not end abruptly. So do not fear. So I'm trying to kind of develop this blindfolded trust within me as time goes by. So this is like where my journey is going at this moment. Also, because I was sexually abused, there are some things I have understood throughout my journey. I used to have a lot of disgusting sort of opinion towards sex and sexual union. While sex is just a natural thing between people, it is very ancient and it also has a divinity. Like sexual energy is the energy that creates.
Absolutely.
The universe is created through sexual energy. Yeah. So I kind of understand that the sex can be a very amazing experience, a very intense and divine experience when we are united with ourselves. So when we are united with ourselves and our partner is united with ourselves, the connection between we and our partner will be very, intense experience, a very divine experience. And there will be less and less sexual abuses, dissatisfaction, extramarital affair, and a lot of things that regards, abuses with sex. So I feel like I can share my learnings to other people who are struggling with this idea of sex.
So it has been, of course, we will continue, but I'll still say this because somewhere I will have to officially end the video. So I'm saying this that thank you for coming on this video talk and sharing your valuable sharings. And I'm definitely going to invite you again whenever is the right time.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, thank
It
you
will
so
come
much.
as a divine. What did you say?